All right, what's going on, Black Speakers Network family? Welcome back to another Speakers Magazine, a live interview. Super excited to be here. If we haven't met yet, my name is Brian Olds, president and founder here at Black Speakers Network. I'm joined with the one and only Pam Perry, Detroit, Michigan, the founder of Speakers Magazine and editor-in-chief with the sound effects coming through. And as always, we have our featured guest, our cover story. And today we are joined by none other than Dr. Joel P. Martin, diversity, equity, and inclusion expert in the building, also founder of the Positively Powerful Woman Awards and Summit. Dr. Martin, how are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you so much, Brian and Pam. I'm delighted to be here. I can't wait to, chat with you because you two have been heroes of mine in the media land for a long time. Well, not long because, we all tend to children, but for a good while. So I'm delighted to have this special opportunity to speak with you.
Good. Oh, I love that cover in the background there. That is, oh my goodness, that is nice. That red pops, for sure. And then the background, what city is that?
Well, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona area. I don't know if that's what we have back there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes, it is. Thank you.
Pam and her team are on it. They do their research.
That's your city, right?
Yes, it is. It's my city.
That's your landscape. That is. She's hailing from Phoenix, but didn't always live in Phoenix.
No, not at all.
In different cities and things like that. But yeah, Phoenix is where you're hailing from today.
Mm-hmm.
And now in Phoenix, a lot of people don't know with Phoenix, it's one of the larger event hubs of. You got Phoenix, I think LA, and of course Las Vegas, Nevada. But there's always conferences, conventions. Like Phoenix does a good job of attracting some really high level events.
Yeah. I was just recently at a meeting planners event in Detroit, and Phoenix had a huge booth. They were really they laid it all out. I mean, Texas had one too because they had all their different cities, right? They had Austin, Houston, Dallas, all of that. But Phoenix just by itself, was Arizona, and then Phoenix was huge. And I looked and I was like, wow. I said, look at how they are recruiting, because basically this event is where all the meeting planners from around the country come to this event. It's called Connect, and they connect with all the different cities, Boston, DC, whatever, to see what it is that they offer. So that was really cool to see how big Phoenix was. It was
absolutely
huge.
Number
do you
5.
Like living out there?
Excuse me, say it again.
I'm sorry. Do you like living out in Phoenix? Because
I love it. I tell you, when I moved here, people said, "You're moving where?" To Phoenix, Arizona, because there's a lot going on in Arizona that I don't agree with. And there's a lot going on that I do and I love. It's very cultural. My husband's an artist, so we have a lot of friends and we do a lot of things. And I love living here, folks. The only time it's a bit challenging is about now when our temperature can go up there, like into the 3 digits. So,
whoa.
Yeah. But okay. I'm learning to adapt. After 20 years, I better know how, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think that, no one has to twist my arm to go anywhere on the West Coast between like November and let's say February or March. I remember sitting outside on Christmas Eve. I've spent a lot of time back and forth in Phoenix, but I remember sitting outside on Christmas Eve one year, having dinner. And it was the weirdest thing to me, but it was also very cool at the same time.
Oh, great. Well, next time you come this way, you make sure you call me.
Oh, I absolutely will. I love Sky Harbor. That's my that's my
That's one of
spot.
your hubs, huh?
And
Uh-huh.
so, Dr. Joelle, so you came from New York?
Mm-hmm.
So from
Born
New
in
York?
New York City, Harlem Hospital. Grew up in Toledo, Ohio, not far from Detroit.
Right. Yep, yep.
Absolutely. Went to the Ohio State University and
Okay.
got
We won't
recruited.
hold it against you.
I know, I know, I
Because
know.
you know the Michigan people and the Ohio people, just you say Ohio, the Ohio State University, anyone, blue and gold, you know, Michigan State, they are like fighting words, right?
Get a little testy, huh?
Get a little
Oh,
testy.
that's because of football, probably.
It
Uh-huh.
is football, both.
Yeah.
Social and blacker. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, you
Right.
know, the Buckeyes are proud though. Buckeyes, they're very, you know, I think anybody from Ohio or that went to the Ohio State University, they're typically like a lot of pride associated with that.
You
Um,
all, the Ohio State University, this was a few years ago where they had the viral marching band.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, that I
Ooh.
forgot. I think it was Michael Jackson. I can't remember what it was, but they went viral with their marching band, which was pretty unusual for a non-HBCU, right? But
Mhm. Mhm.
their band, marching band went viral, and it was just
Wow.
for a lot. We were like a little jealous. It was like, dang, that was really
yeah,
good.
I was gonna say I ain't gonna say nothing about that from an
But yeah,
HBCU.
Morgan does good. They
You're
do
Morgan
good.
man, huh? I
Yeah.
tell you, truth be told, I wanted to go to an HBCU when I got to college, but we couldn't afford to send me there. So at the time, a little a generational thing, we could afford for me to go to a state school. So my family believed in education, and I did not argue because I needed to go to college. In those days, that was very, very important.
That's
Yeah.
Absolutely.
true. That's true.
Hmm.
Because I
What,
think Wilberforce was in Ohio. It is in Ohio, and it's more
Yeah.
expensive than the state school. It is.
Right.
They are. Mhm,
well,
Hmm.
mhm.
I really want to dig into so you're in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space, and you have been for several decades.
Hmm.
I was just having this conversation a few days ago with one of our members, and we were talking about um, the kind of current state of diversity. I'm actually going to be speaking at a organics conference, one of the largest organics products conferences in the country in a few weeks. And we
Hmm.
were talking about kind of the state of DE&I across, and it's so interesting how it shows up in different industries. But for you, Dr. Martin, I would love to get your
Hmm.
perspective on kind of where you see things shifted, because one of the things that came up in that conversation was the concept of diversity fatigue. Companies and organizations that have been fighting the fight for years and years and years and not really seeing the quote unquote needle move. So like, do you experience that like in your conversations now, or how have you seen like the DE&I conversation shift over the years?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. Um, I've seen a lot of new people come into the industry. A lot of people who don't have the learned or lived experience that I have with my 30 some years in DE&I. And in the beginning, it upset me some, but I said, we need more practitioners. The more they learn, the greater the diversity, equity, and inclusion that our companies personify and serve their workforce and their communities with, the better off we all are. So I had to get over myself. Um, in terms of the fatigue factor, I think that's a very dangerous place for people to go. DE&I and belonging is not the flavor of the month. DE&I is always and forever been about people doing their best work together. And when people do their best work together, what happens is your profits go up, as all of your research will tell you. Now, who's going to get tired of making money? Okay. Your people are going to be happier. The data is there. So DE&I is not a flavor of the month. It's a focus that has always been with us. And the more our company, oh, I know I'm going on my thing now here.
No, do your thing. Do your thing. You're good.
Okay.
This is why you're here.
Yeah.
Okay. The more that people get disconnected, the more important it is. And then for our nation right now in the world, there is so much division.
Mhm.
Scary time.
Yeah, I
And
haven't seen it like this since the 60s, basically. It's like really, really
mhm,
so divisive and blatantly divisive. I mean, it was divisive maybe before, but now it's just like really overt. Like
yes,
just like
so true.
it's down to little kids, being
Mhm,
very, very
mhm.
divisive. So
But
It's out in the open. Let's put it that way.
yeah.
Ever
and that's
since
what I was going
days
to ask
of
because, like,
Jim
is it?
Crow, it's been there. I'm sorry, Brian, what did you say?
No, I didn't mean to cut you off at all. Can you repeat what you just said?
Oh, I said it's been part of our nation for sure, since the days of slavery, to the reformation of the United States, which we acknowledge as Juneteenth, to the Jim Crow laws. Do you
Mhm.
know? I mean, that whole etiquette is what we're seeing now. The etiquette of Jim Crow. Anybody that really wants to look into that, you will see some things in there that ring so true for today. So that tells me my work is really about transforming lives and businesses for the better and getting people to shift their mindset. If
Mhm.
I can come and speak to somebody or speak in front of groups, that's always my background conversation. How can I shift this mindset so that people are happier, more productive, doing their best work, performing at the top of their game? And that may not sound like DE&I, but that is what it's about. And we have the laws, the EEO laws, and we have the people in place to carry that forward into the workforce. So my philosophy is you be, you do, and you have. And that's some of the transformational leadership work that I've done globally. So yeah, we got a lot of work to do, but I think we always did. And for us to imagine that we don't need the conversation of that, we are a diverse people, increasingly diverse. When you look at globalization and you look at immigration and the great work that's being done, and when you think of equity, there are many groups that deserve equity. I mean, I could go on. And then inclusion and belonging, that's like, just imagine, when I got on this journey, as you know, Pam, I had a full service ad agency and we were award winners. And from those days till now, I have presence passionately what it means for people to get a real picture of what it means to be Black in America, to get a real picture of the history of the Asian, the Native American, Indigenous people. And that's what I love to bring to life. So for me, DE and I will always live,
Mhm.
always live, because that's who I be. I'm about creating spaces where people feel safe. You talk about it becoming not, I hesitate to use the word dead issue, but becoming burnt out. People are just not having enough fun together. You
Mm.
know,
I can see
sometimes
that.
that's what I put in my training programs. I'm very interactive, very enthusiastic, and I love people. I want them to enjoy getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be key. That would
Mhm.
really be key. Tell us a little bit, Dr. Joelle, about your ad agency and how you started it. She was been Bryant in a lot of textbooks and things like that as
Mhm.
being the one of the first African American women owned ad agencies in New York City. So major market, major industry, woman and Black, and really having to Dr. Joelle, talk about how you had to really fight, so to speak, for advertisers
Mhm.
to understand that Black people use soap too.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah. I started it because I fell in love, got married, had a baby named Sibel, who I adore, and decided to take 3 years off. And then it came time when, I said, oh my gosh, I have got to get back to doing what I love to do. She was old enough. So my agent started as me being a freelance art director. That's what I was when I worked at the big agencies.
Mhm.
So I took her with me and I got clients one at a time. Ashanti Bazaar in New York City was one of my first. I don't know if they're still on this guest, but they're near and dear to my heart. And then I went on and I met some great people in the minority supplier development space who introduced me and advocated and sponsored me with their clients. And these are the days when you had well, I could name names, but you would know who they are if you follow any of the history of Black-owned ad agencies.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I remember I started my agency with the promise that I was going to be noticed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be noticed for being prepared, committed, well-versed, meaning
Creative.
researching, doing my homework,
Mm-hmm.
and looking good.
And
Now,
creative.
that may sound strange, but as a Black woman in New York City, it was important for me to always present a picture of what it means to be Black in America, to be a human being, to be a woman. So, many things. And then there came that incredible lunchtime. When I, as the owner of J.P. Martin Associates, was in competition with one of my colleagues, who shall remain nameless, because there were probably a lot of people looking to get the Anheuser-Busch account. And I understood that, I've heard that there was some conflict of interest on someone's part. I won't say what or how it happened, but I do know, and I appreciate, the people from Anheuser-Busch came over to our agency on Madison Avenue and selected my company to be their agency of record. At the time, we were doing advertising in the corporate space, and then we were able to work with this big organization creating a new malt liquor brand. I was very proud of that, King Cobra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And, yeah, at the time, my heart was always there, making a difference for people. And we were asked to do the BOCA, Black-Owned Communication Alliance ad. I didn't know, this is going back, but you can look it up, a little superhero ad. And we worked with Terry Williams and all the media owners, because as you said, Pam, at that time, advertisers didn't think that we were a worthy target audience.
Nope.
They didn't think Black women wore perfume or makeup. And I mean, that's really hard to believe now, but that's what was going on back when, I guess it was the 60s and 70s. There was a lot of bias.
Mm-hmm.
And this ad that we created for the Black-Owned Communication Alliance and the Anheuser-Busch, excuse me, the Anheuser-Busch Being Black in America, a Real Picture. And then there was the Budweiser Superfest and other work that we got to do to shift minds through the media. So that's how we got going. And then, lo and behold, after many successes, and I love doing that advertising work, because now it shows up in DE&I as optics,
Yeah.
I walk into a training room and I ask myself the question, after doing their whole curriculum, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Do I want to sell another bottle of beer? As much as I love working in the beer industry with folks like Diana Gregory, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Do I want to sell another bottle of beer, make a difference with a human being?
Was it Jim Brown too? Was it Jim Brown?
No, Fred Williamson.
Fred Williamson. Oh, okay. That's not a bad.
No, girl.
It's like
real good taste.
I love Fred.
I was creating music and PR, speaking, supporting our leaders like Jesse Jackson, marching in the parades, and all the way from T-shirts, Brian, to hats. And the spirit was there. The spirit was always there within me. It's always been part of my lived experience.
And part of the thing, just really quick, with her ad agency, the way she started it was a little bit different from the other folks, because she came from the creative side, the art side, not necessarily the sales side, not that kind of thing. And nothing wrong with that, but hers really had a little bit more of an edge and a little bit more of a flair. Then that's why she won so many awards as well for the creative, because that was her main thing, that it's like, it's not just about sales, it's also about the creative and how it looks and the image of how Blacks show up in media. And that's why, for years, Dr. Joelle, I've always just loved you. You went by JP. I didn't know why you went by JP. I don't know whether you didn't want people to know what that was about, but
P is my middle initial because of Prendergast. That's my maiden name.
Okay. But I didn't know whether you were trying to hide the fact that you were a woman
Well,
or
I think anytime I see somebody with the like people go by like JP and then just like that last name or like C, like whatever. Like I always think it adds like an air of like mystery to your point. It's kind of like but then it creates a little anxiety for me because I don't know what to call them. Do I call you C? Do I call you J? Martin? Like what do I call you? So I'm glad you switched back.
Yeah. I always just admired her. It's trailblazer, the things that she did. Working mom, right? You're doing like a working mom, taking your child to. I mean, that's just like trailblazer, just unheard of. And you didn't mind doing the things that are unheard of. It's like I'm going to be a trailblazer. I'm going to be a transformational leader, and that's really what you are. Transforming different way people think. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, Pam.
Speaking of that, like one of the last things, so we're Black Speakers Network, and so I know a lot of people that are watching this are speakers, aspiring speakers. I would love to get your perspective on, so you're currently going into organizations around the world and delivering training, facilitating, consulting. And so I think for many people who are looking to kind of transition into that realm, they're not exactly sure what that looks like in real life. Like I think a lot of times there's a perception that, if I can just, go speak at Nestle or Toyota or Procter and Gamble or whatever, like pick a Fortune 500 company that, you could just show up and deliver a presentation. So I would love to just kind of hear from you, like, what is that like? What does a typical engagement look like for you? Like, how do companies reach out? What happens when they reach out to you? Do you typically go deliver a training? Is there consulting on the back end? Like, what is that? How long are you actually working with a client? And what are the steps in between that you're doing as you?
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah. Big question.
No pressure.
Okay, no pressure. I have all sorts of engagements, and people usually come to me because I'm referred to them, they've seen me work, or they appreciate who I am, and where I go, and how much people matter to me. So the first thing is to create the relationship. Working with George Fraser, he's got this expression: you contribute first, and you ask second. And I believe in that. Yeah, Dr. George Fraser. So back to your question, Brian. For those people that are interested, first is to be mindful of your brand. If your brand has any wiggles in it, for example, being consistent in your word. If you make a promise, keep it. If you can't keep your promise to someone, shift and create something before the due date. And your core values, I think, sometimes stand above your word. People don't trust people don't keep their word. So that's one thing. Then the proposal pace. Yeah, I'm working on a proposal now. You got to put you into the proposal, because if you, meaning your core values, your work, your brand, your optics, if they are not consistent when you do that proposal, it will show up. So be you. I know there have been times when I've gone after work and it hasn't been for me. Okay. So go for it all. It's good experience, but just know you're not going to get it all, because you're not going to be a fit for everyone. And I have been told that we have to see if you're a fit. And I want to say back to them some words I learned back in Toledo, Ohio, but I won't repeat them here. And then, so be mindful of your optics, do some volunteer work, do your proposals, go online, do your research. That's key. Do your homework. A lot of people say, oh yeah, I can do that without doing the research. Look at those websites. Look at who some of their people are. Find out who's in their board of directors. There may be somebody there that you can work with directly with. Look at their values. This is key. Look at their values, their vision, their mission statements, because some organizations don't really walk the talk, and those are prospective clients for you. And some do, and those are prospective clients for you. So know who you're talking to and be consistent, and then deliver. You know, it's always my intention to over deliver and under promise. Yeah. You know, so make sure you get your work done, that you're consistent, follow up. Some of the things that a lot of people may not be mindful of is you send your proposal out. Don't think you're always going to get a response. You know, I've gotten used to that, and do follow up and say, thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. You know, like mind your manners, like moms used to tell us, if you can't say something good, don't say anything. A lot of those things hold true when you're working in my industry, because basically we are a service industry. And we're expected to deliver. When people say, yes, we're going to write the check for you. Somebody got to write the check, okay? And they expect to get return on their investment. So find out, what will that look like for them, and speak to what it is they're looking for. You can't be so invested in your work that you are not mindful of why they are interested in hiring you. And if you're not sure, ask, you know, what is it about my services that are of interest to you? So
love that. That's good.
That's a little masterclass, I think.
Yeah.
Because those are things that are kind of like, those are like operating principles, the jewels you just dropped, in terms of, and they're applicable to like every, you know, situation. And so you have to have you have to be, you know, organized, you have to be professional, you have to, you know, have patience, you have to recognize that not all money is good money, you know, not all opportunities are for you. So these are really, really powerful reminders.
Thank you. I could go on, but I won't.
Well, it's all good, because we got to get into the magazine anyway. Pam, did you have something before we jump in?
Well, one of the things that Dr. Joelle and I talked about before was being a transformational leader. So many times, or a transformational speaker, I'm sorry. And so I'd like her to define the transformational speaker, because so many times says, oh, I'm not a motivational speaker, I'm a transformational speaker. It's like a buzzword that people are using. And it's almost like someone who says, well, I train and coach on DEI because they happen to be African American. It's like, no, being African American is not a requirement in order to be a DEI trainer or coach. So explain to everyone what you feel, because you wrote about it for Speakers Magazine a few years ago. What is a transformational speaker?
Yeah, a transformational speaker is that person of any gender who goes in front of that audience with the trust of the client and does their I hesitate to use the word magic, but does their magic to create a mindset that serves that person and serves that organization. So it's not just about dictating, well, you know, here are the 5 steps and here are the 10 steps. No, you got to bring it to life with personal stories, such that people will then say, oh, I get it. That's me. You mean my life could be better? You mean I could be a better high performing person if I knew the power of my beliefs? So it starts with the personal experience, and then that triggers some belief, and everybody does this. And those beliefs trigger some emotion, so on and so forth. And it is how we show up that impacts our career path. So transformation is like having butterflies fly. I mean, that sounds kind of woo-woo, but all of us have a background. All of us have our history, and all of us come out of some struggle. We all struggle through something to be somewhere as leaders. And that cocoon, if you will, is who I speak to. I speak to the being, the essence of the being that is inside those habits, inside those belief systems, those limiting beliefs. And I say, come out. You know you got it in you. You know you're a high-powered person. You just got a little amnesia, you know? So the butterfly the caterpillar's got to die before the butterfly can fly. And I speak to the wishes, the hopes, and my philosophy, as you know, Pam, every human being is positively powerful already. And it is my job as a transformational speaker, trainer, coach, to speak to the possibility that person is in such a way that they say, oh, that is who I am. My history is my history, but my vision is what I'm working for. So I speak to them from that place. And I tell my stories because sometimes my stories need to be heard by certain people. All right. It's a curated kind of conversation.
That makes a lot of sense to me, because I think when I hear motivation, I kind of think almost like temporary, and not to say it's bad, but like motivation is kind of like short term. So once the event is over, like the motivation starts to fade, whereas the transform is more of a longitudinal, lasting, tapping back into your point of who you are, but something that's going to have some longevity to it.
Absolutely. It's life defining.
Well, we are going to jump into this magazine, Dr. Joelle. Yes, that is Phoenix in the background. And so it is very, very appropriate. This is a beautiful cover, as always. Congratulations, Pam, on another issue, 5 years and running with Speakers Magazine. And so they have not missed a month, Dr. Martin. And so super excited. Now, this is your second time on the cover?
I was on the back cover, but never on the front cover.
Oh, first time. Okay, got it. First time. All right.
Yeah, she was in there. She did an article before about what is a transformational speaker before. And the very first issue with George Fraser was on, she was in that issue as well with her speaking topics and that sort of thing. But this is a first cover. Yes.
Pam has like all the Speakers Magazine, as you should, but you have like all the Speakers Magazine trivia. I love when you're able just to throw out, be like, well, in June of 2009, this was, I'm like, man, how did you know that?
But you know what? I do, and I always have loved magazines, like from way back. Like my whole thing was from Ebony, Jet, all of the Essence, Black Enterprise. You know, when they first came out, I was a young child, so I just really, really love them. And it's funny because I pay attention to covers and I pay attention to articles, and so sometimes I'll know on this particular one, Beverly Johnson was on the cover of say Vogue in 1975, whatever. I will remember that. So it's interesting that you would say that, because some of the speakers that are in the magazine, they say, hey, I was in your magazine, blah, blah, this and that. I say, oh, which issue? Who was on the cover? And they're like, I don't remember. I'm like, you don't remember? You don't remember who was on the cover of the issue that you were in? I had said that to people 5 times. Literally, they don't remember. I'm like, so you just go straight to the magazine, go to your page, and then you don't even think about anything else. I was like, the whole point of the Speakers Magazine, just like why BSM was created, for us to network together. Right. So if you're in the issue, it's like your cousins, right? Your cousins.
That's like your cohort.
Yeah, it's like your cohort. So you want to remember everybody in there and then maybe connect with them. You know, if Aisha Cogman is in here, she'll say, hey, Dr. Joelle, we're in the same issue, that kind of thing. You know, it's like your family. And so I want people to realize, go back through your old issues and then reconnect with all the other speakers in there, because we're not in competition with each other. We're really in collaboration. Right. If you spoke at an event this year, they may ask for a recommendation for next year, and you can recommend another person, and you have this magazine where you can say, hey, you know, there's someone here that, you know, I would recommend, you know, and it's just that collaborative thing of networking, right? Black Speakers Network. So that network is a verb.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But I love that. That's sometimes we don't think holistically about how to I see we're talking about leveraging earned media coverage here, but we don't think holistically about how to get the most out of some of these opportunities. And so I'm glad that we're talking about this. So we have this summit coming up. I know we're going to be talking about it in the cover issue as well, but the Positively Powerful Education Summit and Women's Award is actually coming up next month, October 28th. And this is your event. Dr. Martin, and I see Pam Perry and Linda Clemens. How you get both of them? That's crazy.
No, I'm blessed. What can I tell you, Brian?
I love Linda. Oh, the body, what do we call it? Not body image,
Body
but
language.
body language expert. Oh
Mhm.
my God. You can just Google her name and watch all
Yeah.
Mind Valley. She's on Mind Valley. So I think the one embedded in the issue
Yep.
is the Mind Valley one, where it just talks really about, yeah, there it is.
There she is.
Read anyone's intention with Linda Clemens. She's with Mind Valley on. There she is. Go on, Linda. That is going to be hot. Oh my
That's
God.
amazing.
You
Yeah,
know,
Mount Valley is huge.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
Linda is so engaging and magic, and I like to call her a humorist.
Now, Linda Clemens, I was at a session with her actually at PNC at like 1 a.m. in the morning. And
Yes.
you wouldn't even you would have thought it was like 2:30 in the afternoon. She was bringing people up to the front, and it was incredible.
That's Linda.
But can you tell us about this experience and tell us about the conference and how long it's been taking place and what's happening?
Sure, happy to. Thank you. Yeah, it's October 28th. This is our 13th annual, the first time we've been able to get together in person since 2019. I've got 6 incredible, phenomenal women who are receiving the awards. And then there's also the Education Summit. The summit comes first, and you get inspiration, information, you get to collaborate, have a little breakfast. And then that's from 9 to 11:30. And then there's a half-hour break, and we go into lunch. And that's where the incredible women are honored. And again, everybody in my family and crew, my team is positively powerful. So Pam, you got it on business development. I'm looking forward to seeing you. And Linda, she's a treat. And Linda Clemens will be our keynote speaker for the luncheon. Yes, I'm hosting. And there'll be
a lot of awards this year. Like I feel like this, like your I feel like you've been getting like an award. I feel like every time we do one of these, they were like, "Man, we're Pam out for something." Like, where you going with all these awards?
Thank you. That happens sometimes when you get north of 60. I think that's what happens.
North of 60. And got great sponsors too. The sponsors,
Southwest Airlines. Awesome. How did you get the Girl Scouts? Because they're always trying to get money from me. Like, how did you get them to pay you money? Like, that's pretty amazing by itself.
She was. I tell you, the Girl Scouts was my very first sponsor this year, and they are very much engaged in the empowerment of women. And girls. And that's why they are going to be attending. They are an incredible organization. I got to speak before them for Juneteenth. And I can't say enough about their organization. And the leadership here in Phoenix is phenomenal.
Wow. I love it.
Phenomenal. They're doing some great things.
That's very cool. And Southwest is actually one of my dream sponsors because I have spent so much money with Southwest. I have a lot. Like I got the credit card. I've been spending money with Southwest since I was like 18. So I'm looking forward to doing some work with them. But yeah, congratulations.
We're their community partner. They've been with us for about 5 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is very inspiring to me. By the way, this event is on the campus of Arizona State University, right?
Yes, it is. We are in their fairly new ASU 365 Community Union, which is a really beautiful techie place and part of Sun Devil Stadium. So I consider it a coup that they recognized the power of positively powerful events, and they invited us to be on their campus in that particular building. We have 2 rooms, one for the summit and one for the awards. So I'm excited to be there.
Oh, I am
great. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, that is so
y'all
cool.
Get your tickets, and early registration is still open, I understand, to the 16th. And so make sure that y'all get out there.
Yes.
Congratulations
Right.
again.
Please do. Please do. The early registrants are going to be able to get a ticket on Southwest round trip in a competition.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Oh, there she is. There's the publisher.
So this was really Dr. Joelle is so rich in terms of the information that she shares. So this was really like I clip it from her Juneteenth.
Oh,
She that she had spoke for the Girl Scouts, but this is a snippet from that talked about Juneteenth needs to be celebrated. You know, why we need to have a Juneteenth mindset. And so I've never done this before, where I just really gave the entire verbiage from the cover, because she has a lot to say. I mean, it's one of the things, like I said, she's been a mentor of mine for many years. Just love her. And this really is a snippet from that talked about how we need to have a Juneteenth mindset. And so, Brian, you know, we do Black Speakers Network. Speakers just highlights African American speakers. So it really just she falls in line with everything that we believe in terms of our core values. So this particular one is just part of the thing that she believes, but I wanted people to really get to know a little bit in her own words about what she believes and what her core values are for years. And then there's a picture of her and her awards from a flashback photo from all of the words from when she worked at the ad agency. And so you see all of those SIBA awards behind her. Oh my God.
Wait, what awards are these?
SIBA, Communication Excellence for Black Audiences.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good time.
This is very cool. I love seeing one of the reasons I love doing this, and Pam, you know, does such a great job of finding or I guess featuring people like you, Dr. Martin, who have really, most of the people we're talking to have had really significant impact across multiple industries. But then when you think about the Black experience and, you know, being the first of or one of, and it's just, these are stories I would have never, and I know many of our listeners probably would have not known, you know, had it not been for Speakers Magazine. So I think it's just so cool that we get an opportunity to recognize and celebrate this.
Yeah, you two are amazing.
And she was also on the cover of Essence magazine. I want to say I probably have that issue if I dig around in my magazines. You know,
with my daughter.
That was so good, and that's probably when I started following you. So that's been a while. So when I went away into college, I majored in advertising public relations, and you were a part of that because I could see someone like myself doing that. And that's important. That's really important for us to see other people who we can be, you know, because they look like us.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yes.
So yeah, Dr. Butler, is it Deanne Butler?
Yeah, Deanne Butler. She is a healthcare connector. So you'll see an interview of her there, but she really is consulting people in terms of the healthcare area. She's a CEO of a healthcare consulting business, 15 years. You see, she's got a lot of degrees there, but I love speakers that are very niched. Okay. And nothing wrong with saying you got a whole bunch of commas that I'm doing this, and this, but she's very like, I am healthcare. Okay. So she's not trying to do accounting. She's not trying to do, you know, exercise. I mean, you know, it's very, very, in terms of what she does. Her clients are Humana, City Block Health, Eleanor Health. You know, she combines all of her experiences in healthcare with her education and then created the business, which is what every speaker should do. So now I can refer her because I know what she does and who she speaks to. That's really, really key. And then the video.
So she's consulting with healthcare organizations.
Yes, exactly.
That's incredible. I thought when you first said that, I thought she was like on the patient side consulting.
No.
She's consulting service providers. That's crazy. How do you
Planned Parenthood is one as well with one of her clients.
Wow. Yeah, we need to talk to her.
Yeah, my names together now, Pam.
Now, this young lady here is from Detroit, and she has done a lot. Rashida Kamari Williams, she's done TED Talks and that sort of thing. But one of the things that she does that has made her, if you Google her name, you'll see a lot of media things, is that she just basically responds to Haro, help a reporter out on a
Yep.
regular basis. And most people say, well, I don't know if I should do that. Is it a waste of time? Google her name. Okay. And she tells you how she gets this media coverage. Right. And she is a mentor, is a speaker reel. You'll see all the TV commercials she's been in and all that. But she really tells you in this particular article how free media outreach tool made an impact on her business.
Ooh, good.
Yeah, our role is incredible. I know Keandra has done a couple of trainings on it for that. It's just like BSN, but you can't just get on it and just expect whatever. Like you really have to have a process to get the most out of it. It sounds like she has.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian, you will like this young lady here. Her name is Michelle Nome, and she basically is a networker. She, like us, Uncle George has been an inspiration for her as well. And she really does a lot with networking in the marketing space. So she started an organization called the African American Marketing Association. And it was really to pull together all those that are in marketing, that not like in advertising, but in marketing. And that's what she does. And she has conferences once a year. She has a marketing consulting company. Marketing for the Culture Summit is what she does. But we had a conversation. You'll see the video there that I talked with her about why that started, and really about networking with others in the field, whether you're looking for clients or you're looking for a job in marketing. Those are the things that Michelle really does. And she's also certified diversity sourcing professional. So that's part of the thing that she does as well. So yeah, you would love her. So watch
Certified
that.
diversity sourcing professional.
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta that sounds really incredible. I like people that are like, hey, we're gonna create a community. We don't have this represented, so let's do it. That's what you did with Speakers Magazine.
And that's what you did with PSN. Exactly.
So
and that's how I found her. And I said, I heard of AMA before, American Marketing Association, but African American Marketing Association, I think that's where I need to really just reach out to her. So and I did. And she's out of Texas. She's out of Houston. Mm-hmm. And so these are the beautiful pictures of Dr. Joelle with all of the sponsors there as well. Oh my God. So they grew from page 2.
We need to talk, we need to have a separate session on sponsorship out. What this is really incredible.
Well, our background's in advertising, so that's just kind of like a natural for them for her to understand that part of it, because she knows what their communication goals are. So definitely, Dr. Joel, you should probably do a little master class with BSN members about getting sponsors.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Are you free Thursday? Because
I'll look at my calendar and see.
I will be in touch.
Okay.
This is a glowing cover. And again, same thing, just like the cover. Pam, your team always does an incredible job. Sierra, I know is here, but she interviewed you, I'm sure, to kind of put this together. So really, really good. I think Pam, now that you mentioned, Essence and Jet and some of your inspirations, I could kind of see how that has cemented the influence of how the layout of speakers and all of that. Because now that I'm thinking about that, I'm I do remember flipping through those publications and then seeing the cover story. And you kept that same thread of quality throughout. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And then there's a picture in the top right of Dr. Joelle about women of color. She was on the ABC affiliate in Phoenix as well. A whole interview, and you can that'll be embedded on the magazine as well. But just looking at all the things that she's done has been really, really amazing. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. We just we gotta talk about these sponsors.
So this is Pastor Tony. So he does a lot. He's a film writer. He's an author. He's a pastor. He's a producer. He's also a rapper.
Oh.
So all of his main thing is that he's very focused as well. His main goal is really to let people know about the gospel, right? The gospel of Jesus.
Mhm.
So his films, his books, his music, all wrap around that. And
Mhm.
so Tony is in here as well. And he was actually in my Ready Set Go Speak program. So I'm very, very proud of him because he's come a long way. When we first had our pictures, I was like, oh, Tony, we need to get the pictures out. His name is nickname is they call him Big Slim. I said, but we want to just kind of like maybe show a little bit more professional picture. We don't want to look like Big Slim in the photos. So these pictures look really good. He's been on the come up. The bio was good. And so yeah, so he's on his way and he's moving. And it's
I'm
really
gonna say that, dude. I
Mhm.
really see good. I think before hip hop and gospel, or yeah, like hip hop gospel kind of wasn't like a thing, but now people are really, there have been some really like mainstream like artists that have kind of blended it
Yeah.
together, and it
Mhm.
works. Some
Yeah.
of it, I heard some of the songs, I'm like, okay, and I didn't even know that it was a
Oh yeah.
like gospel song until I'm like, oh, he talking about
Yeah.
Jesus on this? Okay, that's
Yep,
cool.
yep. And he's been nominated for some Stellar Awards. So if you go to the Stellar Awards and you'll see that is a category. It's hip hop for gospel,
Mhm.
right? So the Stellar Awards. Kirk Franklin kind of like led that charge with over 20, 30 years ago, but now there's a whole lot. And so basically Tony is one of those that are in that trying to reach a generation of hip hop, right? But you can't come to them old school. You got to go new school. So that's where
Yeah.
the competition is. Yeah, yeah. And then there's Dr. Avis. Dr. Avis was been a cover girl a few times, and she has this one really I wanted her to write an article about how to scale. And that's really her
Mhm.
main thing that she's really talking about now. The Black millionaire live coaching experience is what she does, and really showing people how to use systems and how to scale. And she really just says, when it's time to scale when you're turning away projects. Nobody wants to do that, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm just at capacity. It's like, okay, so you just not gonna grow, And she says,
Yeah.
it's time to scale when you stop marketing. So, oh, I can't market anymore because I got too many cut. Okay, like really, so she's just really trying to get people to go from a solopreneur mindset to a CEO. And that's what her conferences and things like that really talk to people about how to really do that. And that's one of the main things about Dr. Avis. She's in your area too. She's in the DMV area.
Oh yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Cool.
she's in there. Then this one here, we've got Deidre Moore. She's an attorney, and this book that she's holding came about when her son came home from school and had a lot of questions about Black history. A
Mhm.
lot of questions about Black history, and basically all her son kind of knew was that Black people were slaves, and she was like, okay, we got to do better. So
Mhm.
she went into her own and did her own research and created this book for her 10-year-old son. And really, it's like the power of storytelling, and its inherent generational wealth in African American story. So it's from someone, anyone can really read it, but it's really for someone like around middle school, in elementary school, how to understand Black history. Because, we had this whole critical race issue, right? They're like,
Mhm.
oh, nobody wants to talk. But no, she tells a story. And we didn't just land here from, and Black people didn't start just from Africa. I mean, just from slavery. She goes all the way back to Africa. So that's what this story is. But from a standpoint of understanding it so that it's simple and you can really see the genius in Black people. And that's
Nice.
about this book. Hmm. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
When people
Took
see
her
something,
took her about
there's such a
6 years
difference.
to do that.
I'll
Yeah.
say it again, that.
It took about 6 years for her to really do that book. It's a lot of
Mhm.
history. It's a lot of history. So,
Yeah,
but it's
I'm gonna get that because I've really been trying to beef up my collection of Black history books, but not like things like this that are kind
yeah.
of like not, you wouldn't just kind of run into,
Mhm.
because it's crazy like how much of our history and stuff is buried and or
Ooh,
just kind of rewritten to be like whitewashed or whatever, and
yep,
this the
yep,
only way you're going to get it is through pieces like this, and I
mhm,
love that it's for children. That's awesome.
yep, that's it.
And that's for 10-year-olds,
Yeah,
elementary school students.
Elementary, middle school. That's what she wrote it for. But I read it, and it's like I get a lot out of it because I wasn't taught all the things, right? So,
Yeah.
but it's written for elementary and middle school kids to really understand about the Black history
Thank
story.
you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There's my buddy.
yeah,
Yes,
I was about to say she's a Black Speakers Network and she's in Phoenix, I believe.
yes,
Uh-huh.
yes, she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I will see her at the event. I'm thinking pretty sure she will be there.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna. But she talks about 3 tips to cut your speaking prep time, and one of the things about that is that every speaker would needs to be more time back, and so she really just saying number one, she says stop being a jack of all topics. That seems to be the theme. Like you can't speak on everything. So she really just says how to really build your muscle memory and how to build blocks of methods in terms of when you're doing your speech so that it's always easy for you to put together a speech. So
That's
Aisha
good.
is excellent. Hopefully I will see her because I saw her last time I was in Phoenix a few years ago. So hopefully I will see her as well. I just love her. She's from Detroit. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yes, yes. Aisha is from Detroit. And actually there was an organization I started, Dr. Joelle, called Blacks in Advertising, Radio and Television, called
Oh,
BART. And she was in there and she was an intern. She was my intern. And
oh
I'm
my.
so godly proud of her of what she is doing, like way back, like from way back. She had that sparkle back then, right? She had
Mhm.
that sparkle back then. But yeah, during that time, Brian, I was really pulling together Black people who were in advertising, radio, and TV. So I'm always trying to pull these Black people together so we can soar, right?
That's what you do, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I really, really appreciate her. She met me because National Speakers Association is also, I think their headquarters is in Phoenix, and she met me back in like 2012, and she didn't even know who I was. I just put out the thing like, "Hey, I'm coming out," and she showed me around, and she later became a BSN member. So she's just been constantly great information,
Mhm.
great networking, just always willing to share like her knowledge and stuff like that. So
She is. She is.
and I think I'm gonna share this article and link back to the magazine too with all the BSN because this is really good. A lot of people struggle with this when it
Ooh.
comes to actually putting that message together and stuff. So this is good.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yvonne Daniel says, I love working with Aisha. So yeah, that's it. That's it. And then we have Ina Johnson. She is a certified life coach. That's what CLC stands for. And she really, her main thing is she really talks about a Christian approach to dealing with toxic relationships and things like that.
mm,
And so healing from those kind of things. Her video was in there. You can kind of see her speak and what her main thing is really helping people heal from those toxic relationships. She also had a military career she retired from. So I was like, she doesn't even look that old to retire from anything, but she did. She retired from the military and now she just helps other women, become more cognizant of who they allow to sit at their table and not to ignore the red flags. Mm.
ooh,
Oh Lord.
that's awesome.
Yes.
I, I,
So
all
that's a
right.
big issue. So this right here is an interview that I did with a guy from Australia. He has a PR firm. It's called The Unnoticed Entrepreneur. So I thought that was appropriate because I really feel a lot of speakers need to step into the spotlight and really get involved in the magazine. We have you embedded in the magazine. We mail these out to meeting planners. We have it on the website, and definitely it's to get your SEO juice up and going, to spotlight
Mm,
your speakers, speaker reel, all of the things, right, to really step into the spotlight. So I really want people to really understand that they need to get this in their arsenal of their marketing tools. And marketing is an ING. It's always, you don't just market once and forget it. Okay. And then we got Nicole Roberts Jones, who's always got that smile and that personality, that bubbly. She's positively powerful too, Dr. Joelle. So hopefully
I see.
you'll meet her as well. But she has an event coming up, a virtual event in October called Be the Answer. And so
Okay.
Dr. Nicole Roberts Jones. Yeah, she became an honorary doctorate last year as well. So yeah.
Damn,
So
how do you have time to do all these interviews? Like you got to interview with everybody. Like what do you feel like?
I love well, you know what? And Nicole actually does 3 interviews a week as well. She came out of media. So part of it is that we come out of media. So she does one on blackdoctor.org. She does 2 on Clubhouse. She does her
I don't
own
know how you do it.
Purpose and Profit, so she just loves doing those things.
I
And
feel
we do them
lazy.
together.
I feel real lazy. I'm like, oh, we got a speakers magazine once a month, and then I started a new series called Executive Insights. But yeah, I need sponsors. I need to do more interviews. I need more awards. Like that's my takeaway.
Sounds like you need to talk to the Scale Up lady.
Actually, yeah, she's no joke. Like you can, yeah. But all those things that she had listed in there, she's like, you have consistent revenue, like all of that. So I'm pretty sure I'm in her target market for that program. Actually,
it is, and it's actually in your area. It's I think it's in the Arlington. I think it's in Arlington.
Yep.
And where she has it. Yeah. So she is, what I really like, the main thing about the issue is how everybody really in this particular issue can collaborate together. So Aisha can collaborate with Rashida. Rashida can collaborate with Dr. Avis. Dr. Avis can collaborate with Nicole. They're both SOARs. They're both the AKA folks. I mean, when they really start to maybe make those connections and talk to each other, they'll realize how much they have in common. They'll say, oh, yeah, I went to the Ohio State University. It's like, really? What, and those are the things where picking up the phone and calling or reaching out an email and scheduling a Zoom chat with people really makes a difference. It's about relationship building. Yvonne said, oh, okay. So look at Yvonne. Yvonne Daniel says, I found out about the amazing Nicole Roberts Jones through Dr. Perry. He says, I follow everything she does and she's the truth. All right. That is it. Dr. Nicole really is. And I like introducing cool people to other cool people. That's the thing. So if you know about Dr. Joelle, now you know.
It sounds like Dr. Martin, based on everything that Pam is synopsizing, networking, building connections, it sounds like we need a 5-year speakers magazine conference of some
I
sort.
Agree.
Okay. You
agree. I'm here thinking about that.
I know. But you know what? So Dr. Cheryl Wood, our buddy, she actually has speaker cons. So sometimes I don't like to reinvent the wheel when the wheel's already there. I just want to add on to maybe something that's already going, or Dr. George's or something
that's
like
my
that.
Answer. Yeah. That's my, I'm like, no, I don't want to.
So Brian, when's your event?
Food and beverage and room blocks and travel and just let's tack on to somebody else's thing. But you are right. That is a healthy cross section of our communities. Dr. Martin, we are at time, but I definitely want to give you a minute or so to close out. Is there anything else that we didn't ask you about that you want to share, or just kind of close out top of mind as we kind of wrap things up?
One of the things that I would want to share is that we get to support each other. Like when you think about what you're saying, Dr. Pam and Dr. Brian, remember, we all didn't come over on the same ship, but we're all in the same boat.
I love that.
Let us be together. Let us be together. And I am inspired to be in touch with the women who have been vetted by you, Dr. Perry.
Oh,
absolutely. Yes. Everyone come to my event October 28th from 9 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. Be prepared for surprises. We have exceptional speakers like Dr. Perry and Linda Clemens and so much. You gave me my time to talk about that. Just check on it. Check on it. That's all I say. And make sure you support it.
Yes. And go to positivelypowerful.com and find out all the details about Dr. Joelle as well, because we only did like an hour, but her career is so illustrious and there's so many things that she has done, and read some of her blogs and things like that. She's really, really smart, really, really sweet. I just love her. So make sure that you go to positivelypowerful.com.
I love you too. And now you get to be in the love circle, Brian.
I feel it all the way. We got like 3 time zones represented, but I still feel it all the way over here on the East Coast. So it's very cool. Thank you so much again, Pam, and to the entire team. I know Sierra, I think she's a little under the weather today, but thinking about you as well, Mark, Peppy, everybody, and then Dr. Martin, congratulations again. I will be in touch, talk about the
Good.
sponsorship stuff, and just continue. I know your event is going to be incredible. And if you ever need anything from us, let us know. But to everyone listening and watching, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next month. Again, we do this on the second Saturday of each month. So make sure you go to speakersmagazine.com. And if you are interested in being featured in an issue, hurry up because the year is almost over and the stocks fill up quickly, as you see. But you can go to speakersmagazine.com/get featured. And that is where you can get all the information you need to get into the actual magazine. So until next time, keep speaking up because your audience awaits, and I will see y'all on stage.